Hey guys, what's up? Cody from ColtonFrey, and today this is going to be a rant video, so if you don't like rants, just click off this video now. So, I'm going to be ranting on how the iPhone and iPod Touch are a little bit too close, and basically the differences between them and what that's going to mean to game developers. So, first thing I want to talk about is how Apple cut the cost of the iPod Touch and put in half the RAM of the iPhone 4. If you didn't know, the iPod Touch only has 256 megabytes of RAM, while the iPhone 4 has 512. So there's a big difference there. The iPad currently has 256, but I believe in March the iPad will definitely have 512. What will that mean to game developers? I was talking to my friend earlier today. I really want good games. See, the thing with the iPhone is it has 512 megabytes of RAM, the A4 processor, 1 gigahertz. This thing is beast. This thing has a lot of power. iPod Touch, in my opinion, it should have the same power as this, just missing some features like a back camera and some other stuff. But it should have the same core power as the iPhone. It's always had the same core power in the last years, and this year, it's different. It does not have the same core power. It has the same processor, same everything else, same graphics chip, but has half the RAM. Well, now, what does that mean to game developers? That means that they can't put as intensive graphics in, take use of the Retina display. That means that there's going to be a lot of issues with games lagging up on the iPod Touch. I mean, for iPhone users, we won't be getting the full user experience out of our devices because the game developers will be making them to work on the lower end 256 megabytes iPod Touches, and we won't be able to do anything about it. They will not make a games differently for an iPod Touch and an iPhone. They're going to not make it extra good to work on an iPhone. They're going to make it so it runs great on the lower end device, and it'll run better on the higher end device, but you still have the issue of not great graphics, not great sound, not great games. They're limited to what they can do now because Apple has cut the cost of the iPod Touch. What I believe Apple should have done is on the higher end models like the 32 and the 64, they really should have bumped up the RAM to 512 and just left the lower end, the 8 gigabyte, down at 256. That really does help Apple cut costs. Another thing Apple's cutting costs on is the lower quality cameras. Lower quality camera on the back, actually. The front camera, FaceTime camera, is the same camera, but the back camera is different. The back camera on the iPod Touch is at least half as low. I think it might be 2 or 3 megapixels versus the 5. It has a 720 by 980, I believe, resolution on the back camera, while the iPhone has a 2 something by 3 something resolution. It's insanely huge versus the iPod Touch's resolution for pictures. They both shoot in 720p HD, which I think is fine, but I believe that they really should have just left the iPod Touch to do video recording on the back, FaceTime on the front. I believe that they let it do crappy photos on the back, and that's not what Apple should have done. They really should have made the iPod Touch so it could not take photos except from the front camera, and that's what they should have done. So there's also missing IPS technology in the Retina display, I believe, for the iPod Touch. It is not the exact same Retina display. They also cut costs there. I don't know exactly what's happening here. I read this on some forum like a week ago. They actually did cut costs on the screen, change it up a little bit, and use a little bit lower end technologies in it. Don't hold me to this fact. I just read it somewhere, and I believe it's actually true. If you noticed, another thing, they cut costs by not redesigning the case design all that much. You say, well, they completely redid it. No, they really didn't. You think about it, it's really, really very close to the old model. The old model is just more tapered on the back, and the new model, basically they cut off a little bit of the back, made it flat, and that also made it thinner. So they really didn't redesign the case all that much, and I think they really could have been more creative with that, and not redesigning the case to be completely different like the iPhone 4 versus the 3GS. That really cut costs for them not having to develop a whole new casing. Also, I'm kind of done my rant for the iPod Touch versus iPhone. iPod Touch, not all that happy with it. It's a little bit too close to the iPhone in some aspects and too far from the iPhone in others. They really should have worked those out, and I think that's going to mean some hard gaming for the iPhone, and it's not going to be great for us. So Now I want to talk about how they might work FaceTime into the iPad. Well, everyone just says, well, let's just add a front-facing camera to the iPad and call it quits. Well, if you remember in the older iPads that came out 7 months ago now, March, whatever, they have a hole in them. And below the screen, they have a hole the exact size to fit an iSight camera in, okay? Not a FaceTime camera, an iSight off a MacBook or a iMac. Think about it. If you have a tablet device, would you want a really good quality webcam, or would you want a FaceTime camera? FaceTime cameras are good on a 3.5-inch display, but on like a bigger display, like a 9.5-inch or whatever, especially if it's Retina or a higher resolution next year, FaceTime cameras would not look that great. I think what they're going to do is they're going to integrate an iSight camera with a higher resolution somehow into FaceTime, and we'll even be able to view the higher resolution camera right on our iPhone 4s. So it'll look better for us, and they'll just have to do, if they receive a call from an iPhone 4, they'll just view it in lesser quality because we have the lesser quality cameras. But like I said, they'll probably do that, and that'd be really cool. If iPad to iPad was like full HD webcam, that'd be pretty cool for FaceTime, don't you think? So those are my thoughts on FaceTime, Ipod Touch, iPhone Rant. What do you think? Leave your comments down below, and check me out on YouTube, youtube.com/Colt459595. You're probably viewing that video over there. And follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Colt4595. Talk about my life, talk about some stuff, talk about school, friends, everything. So check me out on those sites. Leave your comments down below. Peace out.